Ma Shri Aurobindo. Om Tat Saviturvaram Rupam Jyoti Parasya Dhimahi Yanna Satyena Deepayet. Om Tat Saviturvaram Rupam Jyoti Parasya Dhimahi Yanna Satyena Deepayet. Om Tat Saviturvaram Rupam Jyoti Parasya Dhimahi Yanna Satyena Deepayet. Today we are going to take up All Life is Yoga. What we just chanted was the Gayatri mantra of Shri Aurobindo, and it's very different from the original Gayatri mantra, because here itself there's an indication of all life is yoga, because we are calling the highest form, that Savitur, the highest form of the sun, the light, the supramental energy, to come into this earthly being, to touch the earth, to transform the earth. So this is Shri Aurobindo's Gayatri mantra, and that's the essence of his yoga, and it's all life is yoga. Nothing is eliminated. We do not, when we enter into a silence or a blissful state, we don't remain there, locking up ourselves and just being with that silence, but in our nature, in our activities, in our daily life, we are bringing that light and working with it. Mother, when she described Shri Aurobindo's yoga and life in the ashram, she told something very beautiful. I'll read it out. The usual sadhanas have for aim the union with the Supreme Consciousness, Satchidananda. And those who reach there are satisfied with their own liberation and leave the world to its unhappy plight. On the contrary, Shri Aurobindo's sadhana starts where the others end. Once the union with the Supreme is realized, one must bring down that realization to the exterior world and change the conditions of life upon the earth until a total transformation is accomplished. Bring down that realization to the exterior world and change the conditions of life upon the earth until a total transformation is accomplished. In accordance with this aim, the sadhaks of the integral yoga do not retire from the world to lead a life of contemplation and meditation. Each one must devote at least 1/3 of his time to a useful work. All activities are represented in the ashram, and each one chooses the work most congenial to his nature, but must do it in a spirit of service and unselfishness, keeping always in view the aim of integral transformation. Keeping always in view the aim of integral transformation. So clearly she's saying that we have to transform our way of being, way of living, allow the divine light to transform our nature, take up the mind, vital, physical. So our ashram, the Shri Aurobindo's yoga is so unique to that extent that literally we take it up on our physical, we have physical exercises, physical education in the ashram, which is unlike any other ashram or any other sadhana. So bringing down the light, the divine inside the very physical, the cells of our body, and we know how Mother specifically did this work on her body. Her work as an avatar was done after she brought the supramental light in 1956, but she continued that light should come into every cell of the body. The body must be transformed. So the entire mother's yoga, body transformation, all that we find in the agenda, so beautifully she describes. So there are cells in the body which is continuously chanting Om Namo Bhagavate. It wants to surrender, and there are just few cells like that, and she wants all the cells to take up this path of surrender and just act according to what the divine wills in her. And she also talks about the organs changing. They have the control only by the Supreme and nothing else. None of the lower elements are controlling it. And she says a transfer of energy. So what the nature has made the organs, the movements, the functionalities. So when mother was going through this body transformation, how she was the only one on the planet to have gone through this and making that journey easier for us. And she talks about the energies being controlled just directly by the supramental. As I was reading what I just read, right, it's about transforming the entire earth, and each of us should spend put this energy and do some useful work. 1/3 of our time should be in getting the supramental into the body, into our daily work. And I suddenly got this thought about the avatars. So none of our avatars, we just sat in a cave. Otherwise we wouldn't have known them to be avatars, right? Like Rama, Narsimha, Sri Aurobindo, all of them were working with the nature. They came for a purpose. They came to transform one kind of energy. Rama came to transform that egoistic Ravana to an extent. He was an avatar of the higher mind. He came to introduce that higher mind in the earthly consciousness. And Sri Aurobindo likewise is introducing the supramental in the earthly consciousness. So just following them, it's just that they are all here as all life is yoga, that each and every avatar has done that. In the integral yoga, there's no distinction between the sadhana and the outward life. It is in each and every moment of the daily life that the truth must be found and practiced. Each and every moment of the daily life that the truth must be found and practiced. So that's why mother opened up so many departments. You name it, there's a department. We have a school, we have marbling department, batik department, perfume department. And according to the interests of the sadhak, they align themselves to a particular department. And sometimes I tend to read reminiscences of different sadhaks. I'm now currently reading one sadhak by name Ravindraji. So he actually is so multifaceted. Mother made him work in the laundry, in the bakery, assigning works to the sadhaks. He was also teaching Hindi in the school. So much of their nature is getting transformed, getting worked. And there was no question of, being tired or, work is pulling them down. No, with every moment they were offering to the mother. Every work was offered to the mother. And she tells Udarda so beautifully, right? And he is also instrumental in setting up a lot of departments. And then he comes to the mother and says, I don't know if I'm doing your sadhana truly. Tell me how to do your sadhana. And she says, what do you do when you get up first thing in the morning? You brush your teeth. So are you calling me when you're brushing your teeth? In the little moments of looking after yourself, do you actually remember me? Are you offering that detail to me? So she's like, that is sadhana. Yes, it's to an extent great. You are helping me in setting departments and making the ashram flourish and getting the finances or everything else. But the real sadhana is being with the divine contact from moment to moment in our daily activities. Actually, it is not that the divine is sitting somewhere high above, right? It is He is playing in the world. He is manifesting Himself differently in everything. It's that one has become the many, the one has become the multiple. The life has to express the divine who is wanting to express himself in whatever way. So Sri Aurobindo says so beautifully in Synthesis of Yoga that there's a subconscious yoga in nature. Everything around you is doing yoga. The plants, trees, the movements in the external material nature, everything is doing yoga. And in our ashram we have this beautiful diagram of the mother, right? She draws, you are here and the divine is here, and she draws a straight path and she also draws the zigzag path. So the zigzag path is the path of the nature. It was still going to the divine only, but when you align yourself to Mother Sri Aurobindo, they are carrying you directly from point to where you are to the divine in one straight path. If you encompass all your activities and offer that to them, and they are carrying you directly to that divine light. So in ashram there used to be counting of the flowers. It may sound very absurd. There are these beautiful transformation flowers we call. Mother has named over 900 species of flowers. So this particular flower is very beautiful. It's like a white flower which drops like this, and it's in quite a few places in Pondicherry. And those flowers, the service tree flowers, all of them were literally counted. The sadhikas used to count them one by one, and say in that day they would write transformation 3421 or something like that. So people used to ask, Mother, why are you making us count? Why do you want to know these numbers? So she would say, nature has promised to collaborate with me. She promised to give me around 3000 flowers. I'm checking if she is giving. So, but Mother, she had this conversation with, the nature, which she wants to do this yoga in its own pace, taking millions and zillions of years. But she coming down, Mother coming down, Sri Aurobindo coming down, has making the nature also collaborate with her and speeding the process. And Sri Aurobindo says somewhere, if you take up this yoga and be their children, be in their path, it is the yoga done in an accelerated pace. What we would have otherwise taken, say, around 300 lives to reach, to get that divine realization. Sri Aurobindo and Mother is making it less for us. And when she talks about, the supramental beings coming, so she said, the apes didn't know that they are going to become a future man. They had no idea. But with the mind coming in, with human beings having mind as the highest faculty, so they have a sense, they know something is going to come. And with Mother Sri Aurobindo, they have clearly told us this is the path. And again, supramental being, supramental man is still not the highest. We have been evolving from that literal matter, inert matter, to where we are now. And even what Sri Aurobindo is introducing, he'll come again in a supramental body and introduce something else, add one more rung in the ladder of the evolution. So everything is anyway doing the yoga, and it's about just collaborating. It's the joy of the collaboration and being conscious. Recently I heard a talk, and this line stayed with me. It's a little humorous. So Alokda, he says in this talk, the activities, the movements, our destinies, all of it, it's actually a fixed match. It is decided, it's definite. We are all, manifesting the divine in the way the divine wants us to manifest him. So it's all fixed, it's all going so beautifully. We are the ones in our mind, in our little spaces, we are not expanded enough, we are not vast enough, we are not understanding the divine play. Somewhere I read, it was very interesting. Like the divine is doing, he's an artist, he's doing this beautiful, artist work, beautiful drawing, and we are like a point, a line, or a color, a little speck in that masterpiece of what the divine is creating. So everything has a purpose. And Savitri, we have beautiful lines, right? anything, any pace and any step is leading to the divine. Our errors lead us to the divine. I'll read those exact lines and we come down a little. But how do we, realize this, that all life is yoga? How to call the divine, in our daily activities? And Mother says you have to have first of all, the idea of the divine you have should be integral. She says you must try to understand the divine is not only what you think or you feel him to be, but also what others think and feel him to be. And in addition, something that nobody can think and feel. Should give that, that room for the divine to play with us in whatever way he wants to. So what not? You have an integral view of the divine. Somewhere else she says, if you feel the divine is strict, he's punishing you, all the circumstances you face is making you suffer, the divine will come to you like that as this, very dominating being, trying to extract from you. But if you feel him like a friend, a lover, and it's a joy in his company and all, he will be with you like that. So Krishna in the Kurukshetra and Krishna as Arjuna's friend, the Sakha, that's about the way you think the divine should be. And she says you have to expand that view. What another person thinks of the divine, that also you must bring into and look at it. And she says, and there will be there's a moment when one would be unable to say this is divine, that is not divine. For a time comes when one sees the whole universe is so total and comprehensive, a way to tell the truth. It is impossible to take anything from it without disturbing everything. There's a time it will come that everything is the divine, everything is fulfilling that harmony, everything is that totality. But she also warns us, she says, in our practical living, it is, we can consider all that which helps us to move towards the divine as divine, and all that which is taking a little away from him as undivine. While reading this, I remember Sri Aurobindo's experiences in Alipur jail about the Vasudeva consciousness. In fact, today is the day when that Uttarpara speech was given by Sri Aurobindo, and he revealed to us how Krishna, came into contact with him, how he guided him in Alipur jail. And I really want everybody, if possible tonight, I've shared that video in the group, just go through the video. It's about 30 minutes and it's so beautiful, it's so charged, and you can really live every word that Sri Aurobindo was saying then. And I'll just read out that extract. So he says, for him nothing was undivine, like he could see the divine embrace everywhere. And the context to this, he was in solitary confinement and he requested the jail authorities, you can give me little half an hour time to walk in that place, in the jail. Even there he describes, he used to see the tree and he used to be so happy seeing it, the joy of the divine in the tree. And there used to be some cow herd close by, used to see some cows, and all the smallest things he used to delight in the divine. And he had this beautiful experience. I looked at the jail that secluded me from men, and it was no longer by its high walls that I was imprisoned. No, it was Vasudeva who surrounded me. I looked at the jail that secluded me from men. It was no longer by its high walls that I was imprisoned. It was Vasudeva who surrounded me. I walked under the branches of the tree in front of my cell. It was not the tree. I knew it was Vasudeva. It was Sri Krishna whom I saw standing there and holding me over his shade. And holding over me his shade, I looked at the bars of my cell, the very grating that did duty for a door, and again I saw Vasudeva. It was Narayana who was guarding and standing sentry over me. Or I lay on the coarse blankets that were given me for a couch, and felt the same arms of Sri Krishna around me, the arms of my friend and lover. This was the first use of the deeper vision he gave me. I looked at the prisoners in the jail, the thieves, the murderers, the swindlers, and I looked at them. I saw Vasudeva. It was Narayana whom I found in these darkened souls and misused bodies. Among these thieves and dacoits, there were many who put me to shame by their sympathy, their kindness, their humanity triumphant over such adverse circumstances. So we can take a clue from Sri Aurobindo. Even what seemed like adverse, that coarse mattress for him felt like Sri Krishna's embrace. The tree felt like Sri Krishna holding an umbrella over him. And the walls of the jail, again felt like Sri Krishna's arms around him. So we can try and see, even in the small ups and downs we go through. And when I was reading this right now, when he slept on that coarse blanket, the coarse bed, felt Sri Krishna, sleeping on Sri Krishna. Somewhere in Mother's agenda, she says, think of the divine like he is this plush bed like thing. There, like he's there, like you're bouncing on him. He is being with you. He's holding you. He's protecting you. So even if we can just get this thought, at least in the mental level, okay, when I'm sleeping, it's that in Mother's arms that I'm sleeping today and every day. So I felt it was beautiful and an apt day to read this. This very day he gave this speech and told all his inner experiences. Then Mother says, like, how to do this sadhana. Then she says, there is a positive side to this sadhana. You take up all the parts, all the movements, all the activities of one's being and put it before this psychic consciousness, so that they fall in their true place in relation to the center. Finally, to organize one's aspiration towards the divine and progress towards the divine. This is what Mother is saying. She used to do this as a child. So she would say, her dad would call her, come, let's go out, let's go to the circus. She would say, I'm doing something very interesting. Circus is doesn't give me much interest. So she would sit and she'd put everything, all the movements, see where they are coming from. She'll direct it to that psychic light, and this used to be such a wonderful game, she used to say. And then this is the positive side of the sadhana, that offer, put everything in the psychic light. And somewhere Mother tells also, there's this deep psychic fire, that highest flame of aspiration in us. All the wrong movements, wrong thoughts, just put it inside that flame, let it burn in that flame, she tells. And she's saying this is just not a vision or some imagination. In the subtle physical, that flame is there, it is constantly burning, and maybe some of us would have felt it in our meditation also. Some deep flame or a light or some vague reflection of it, we would feel it there because it is a reality. Then she says it's a negative side, in the sense, what I just told, all the wrong movements which you feel is not helping you to grow, putting that into the flame, rejecting, that's what Sri Aurobindo says. The positive side, everything, all movements, all activities, call the psychic light. Negative when you're shunning the lower energies. Then she says, literally how to feel the divine, like be constantly with him, have an inward remembrance. And Sri Aurobindo has given this beautiful, I would say, meditation for all of us. He says, in all is the one self. The one divine is in all. All are in the divine. All are the divine. And there's nothing else in this universe. All is the one self. The one divine is in all. All are in the divine. All are the divine. There's nothing else in the universe. This thought or this faith is the whole background until it becomes the whole substance of the consciousness of the worker. The constant inward remembrance. And if this inward remembrance is there, in the smallest activities, it just becomes a part of you. Like say for example, whenever say food is kept near you, it's time to eat, and you have made this habit to offer the food to the divine, to call her name or look at her photograph, or, whatever it is, whichever way you're going to call. And since sometimes it takes up, the remembrance takes over. You are not consciously, I have to remember, the food is there, I have to do this prayer. There's something from inward which comes. Now I'm remembering like one of our fellow sadhaks who shared this. So she used to go to the Delhi ashram frequently. In fact, she just stumbled upon the Delhi ashram and she just walked in and she felt it is so beautiful, such great greenery, what a peace, what serenity. And she spent some time there, and it so happened her destination on that day was somewhere else, but she was so fascinated by the Delhi ashram. She asked how would it be if I can work here. And she happened to meet few people there, and she started working there, and she did a few months of work, and then she goes back to her home. And that time also she didn't have like a very sincere contact with the mother, maybe more to the atmosphere in the place, but that atmosphere was like so charged with mother's light. When she went home and she sat for a meal, just unknowingly from somewhere, from her inner being, she just said Ma before eating. So this, as we do it, as when the inner remembrance is always there, it is natural. Like how mother was saying, there are cells in the body which used to totally surrender and used to call her, and it will always be in that Om Namo Bhagavate, that chanting. So keeping that aspiration for progress, mother mentions, and she calls this keeping that aspiration for progress at all times as dynamic meditation. You don't need to know wherever you are and you feel okay, your meditation time you're not able to do today, or you're stuck somewhere. You don't need to think and put that barrier in front of you. Do this dynamic meditation at wherever you are, whatever you're doing, even in your interaction with people. Just see between you and the person is the mother. Through the mother you are reaching to the person. The mother is talking to you, to that person. Sometimes we feel how, like in our difficult times, we feel very separated from the divine, and how can we always have that constant link? So I'll read some lines of what Sri Aurobindo in Savitri talks about pain, suffering, how he describes it, and how it is a needed step also in our journey. And mother says here, you are under the illusion that pain belongs to you. This is not true. Pain is something thrust upon you. The same event could occur exactly the same in all its details without its inflicting the shadow of pain on you. On the contrary, sometimes it can fill you with ecstatic joy. We feel so connected, attached to the pain, that we are giving more power to the pain and giving it more impetus to grow in us. But if the same pain, same intensity, everything, if you just same state can be turned into an ecstatic state. Sri Aurobindo, when he had the accident of his leg, he was telling the sadhaks who were there with him, I am trying to convert this pain to that ultimate ananda. I am in the process of doing that. And it must be really physically, he must have gone through the pain, but he didn't express it like how we would express when we met with an accident of the bone getting twisted or something to that extent. And he wouldn't, during pain we make these awkward, movements and, these reactions and all. But Sri Aurobindo was this in state of solid peace, still there trying to convert that pain into ananda. There's a poem he's written about a scorpion bite. I think he would have experienced it. And even when the scorpion bit me, I saw the Brahman, I saw the divine, I saw the light. Even in that pain, I am seeing the Ananda, he says. But instead of identifying yourself with the grace which makes you progress, you identify yourself with the ugly thing you want to get rid of. So naturally, you feel like you feel it and you suffer. That grace of the divine which is always there, we have to think of that which is there. Sri Aurobindo says, one of his aphorism, if you feel like, if you do consider in your little understanding, the divine has put you through a problem, and look at one part of you is going down, you have to stretch your hand, and the divine is pulling you out of it. Stretch your hand and make him pull you out of that situation. Don't go down. So some lines from Savitri, pain is the hammer of the gods to break a dead resistance in the mortal's heart. Why in all this evolution? Why this need of pain? So Sri Aurobindo is saying, to break the dead resistance in the mortal's heart. Otherwise we would have been the same state. We wouldn't have evolved as human beings. We would have been the same stone that, or like say one tadpole, it had to jump to that land to become that amphibian, to explore, or to become a bird, to become the next human, right? If it had to go through that phase, the transition phase, which is that change, it had to be that the painful process had to come. So that's breaking that resistance. You can't be in your comfort zone. Oh, I'm happy being a tadpole, I don't want to be the next creature in evolution. It's not possible. So that the nature, the hand of divine keeps coming and nudging, and that nudge we feel it's a pain. But if we can see directly the hand of the divine, we will not see it as pain. So pain is the hand of nature, Sri Aurobindo says, sculpturing men to greatness, and inspired labor chisels with heavenly cruelty and unwilling mold. The divine's touch, we feel it's cruel. Even that Sri Aurobindo is saying it's a heavenly cruelty, because we are unwilling, we are not wanting to change, we are not giving ourselves to that hand. That's why unwilling mold, it will feel, it will react even more adversely. Imagine like we are that mud, and Sri Aurobindo is the potter, Mother Sri Aurobindo is like sculpturing us to that greatness. And through that thing, the resistant parts in us will feel the aches and pains and touches. Oh my God, it's too much, I can't bear this. But he is sculpturing us to that beautiful pot, the vessel that the divine can fill, make us that instrument of the divine. These very, very beautiful lines, gives a lot of hope and assurance. He says, our errors are his steps upon the way. He works through the fierce vicissitudes of our lives. He works through the hard breath of battle and toil. He works through our sins and sorrows and our tears. His knowledge overrules our nescience. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever our strong ills and present fate, when nothing we can see but drift and bail, a mighty guidance leads us still through all. A mighty guidance leads us still through all. In his poem, The God's Labour, Sri Aurobindo describes his pains, how he had to go through the deepest inconscient worlds, and how much of the adverse forces, the inconscient elements, that is, he says, unwilling mold, how much he had to, change them, work on them, and the pains, and like he describes, literally it's like a autobiographical poem. He's describing his work. So when the divine is doing all that dirty work for us, and he's clearing the path for us, and we are with, he says we are the pathfinders. So he's made the path smooth for us to travel on. So we should just walk in that gratitude and love. Whatever we think in our little understanding, oh, this is terrible, I can't bear, what more, I have to see now. But he says this, all the troubles and everything, you will see the mighty guidance will lead you. And few things what Mother says, to get outside this egoistic consciousness and moment to moment understand that yes, all life is yoga. How do we do that? She says our higher vital being always aspires, is always connected to the divine. It's only the lower which is not connected. So even when we are facing these lower reactions, lower movements, transform them and make the higher vital act on them. And she says, she says when it comes to conquering impulses, desires, all that. We read a lot, we have beautiful satsangs and everything, but in those situations, are we able to hold what we have received, what we have read, or are we continuously stepping back and allowing the divine to act? It doesn't happen all the time. So Mother says you should have this, this determination. You should say, I want my consciousness to be above those things. There will still be many battles, but if my consciousness stands above that, little by little, there will come a time when this will return no longer. Sometimes you are trying your best, you want to get rid of a desire, but it still keeps coming back, showing different faces. But you have to have that strong will in you, that strong will of aspiration to progress, to keep that, that dynamically inside you always going. And very interesting thing she says, to be able to conquer the desires of the vital, one must have an excellent physical equilibrium and sound health. So your vital will be, volatile and you'll be carried away by different emotions and everything. So you have to tackle it by making your body stronger, trying to do, whatever little we can, in whatever capacity we are able to do, make the body more receptive to her. Even when, it's a common thing, when you say, I get into fits of anger and I'm not able to control myself, I get into periods of low depression and everything. So that's the case. You should actually work on your physical. It's an indication you work on your physical, so that you don't give room, don't give time for all these, these actors inside you play up like this. And she says depression is always unreasonable and leads you nowhere. It is the most subtle enemy of yoga. First learn to know yourself perfectly and then to control yourself perfectly. You will be able to do it by aspiring at every moment. That eagerness to learn about yourself, where these movements are coming. Like she said, put those movements in front of the psychic light, reject them if it is not required. It's like making a stumbling block on your path. And she says this very practical thing. Sometimes we say, okay, now I'm going to work only on purifying my mind, my thoughts, for a few weeks let me do this. Some people do. I know some people take part by part. Now I'm working on the Mahalakshmi aspect of myself. Now I'm working on Mahasaraswati. But Mother doesn't act like that. No, all the four beings, all the four forces, they keep working. Wherever they are needed, you call them, they come. And in Sri Aurobindo's book, The Mother, he describes so beautifully about the four aspects, right? These aspects are again not somewhere sitting high up. They are working inside us, within us. And they come from time to time. Like what is necessary at that time, that will take the upper hand, like that. So she says, first you don't think of, I must purify my thought, I must purify my body, I must purify my vital. Later I'll purify my action. In your action, everything else is anyway getting involved. Your thought is there, emotion is there, everything. But have the aspiration to purify that very act, calling the divine, offering that movement, that very action, the very physical action. So this is a normal order, but it never succeeds. The effective order is to begin from outside. What you can control, begin from outside and then slowly start transforming inside, she says in this context. Beware of what pulls you down. Do not yield to any lower instinct. Keep intact your aspiration for the divine. Keep intact your aspiration. Our aim is not to accept these things and enjoy them, but to get rid of them and create a life of spiritual beauty and perfection. This cannot be done as long as we accept these uglinesses. Keep quiet. Try to detach yourself and observe as a witness to prevent all possibility of acting on impulse. Keep quiet. Try to detach yourself and observe as witness to prevent all possibility of acting on impulse. And also, in the detached consciousness, we have to act, not getting flowed by the lower emotions or the other person's emotions or anything like that. So there's an example of in one of our centers, there used to be some sandalwood trees. Sandalwood trees are very precious. They belong only to the government. So it's very, something very of prized value, right? There are often cases people try to hunt for these sandalwood trees, cut them, make money. People do that. So in one of our centers, there was this two gundas or thieves who came and trying to chop the sandalwood tree. And the manager of that center, he just stands there. He sees the whole thing. He doesn't intervene at all. So another person who said, this is the government property, like you are also part of this, you helped them do it, why did you not stop them? So he says, I was a witness, I didn't want to get involved. The witness is about you carrying the higher light and act in that situation, do what is necessary to be done. The same context we have, like, I don't want to take any names, but some of these so-called Babajis and have these big ashrams and anything. There were some cases around this person, and this person, he came to one of our centers to basically hide from the police. He thought, nobody can catch him here or something like that. And the manager of that center, he got that inrush of Kali that day. And he knew like some background about this person and people are after him. Somehow the Kali force came into him, and this person is of a high stature, there's so many big followers for him and everything, but it is not him, it was the Kali who was acting through him, and he somehow confronted him and made him walk. He had like a hazar security people or whatnot. So he came in. So even there, this guy would have stepped back from his normal personality and allowed that big inrush of the Kali force to act. So the witness is about that. You act, you be in the world, do the work, but you call the divine, make the divine do. Don't allow the little personality to act, which is also mixed up all the time. So in some of Sri Aurobindo's writings, like especially in Synthesis of Yoga, he talks about perfecting the yoga of self-perfection, and I'll just touch upon some points. For every of these points, Sri Aurobindo has 2 or 3 chapters inside them. So the basic, like the toolkit that we need to have, the important things that we should inculcate in our nature. So he says perfect equality. To be free from the domination of the urge of vital desire and the stormy mastery of the soul by the passions is to have a calm and equal heart and life principle governed by the large and even view of a universal spirit. Don't be whirled with this, the storm created by the vital desire, but have an equal view. Be in that equanimity. So Sri Krishna also repeatedly says in Bhagavad Gita, heat, cold, friend, enemy, all these contradictions shouldn't be there. See everything in that equal light. Even in some poems of Sri Aurobindo, he describes about what is war. We have this shrinking feeling, oh war, oh here so many people are suffering, so many people are getting killed. But he says, see it in that larger light, see it that, this is also creating harmony. So I think he's mentioned in this poem, or it's coming from him somehow. So he says, like in the forests, they go through this churning from time to time. Suddenly there'll be forest fire. It's not like humans have triggered it. Some intense heat and everything would cause these forest fires, and there'll be acres and acres which is fully like getting burnt. It is a revival process. Like whatever is getting burnt, that acts like a manure, a fertilizer for new growth, for the new world, for the new becoming. That's what he takes the example of the war also. You don't need to shrink, see it like, yeah, this is the play of the divine, because we are not in the divine consciousness. We don't see the oneness. He keeps saying the one became the many, and he says the divine who has created a little shell on the seashore, the same energy he takes to create the universe, the stars, the galaxies. Divine will not say, oh, I'm creating such a little small shell, I will just put like one molecule of my energy. No, he is giving himself. It is himself becoming the shell, right? So it is himself becoming the universe. In the poem Who, so beautifully he describes, like Sri Krishna, he builds these universes. Like if he moves his hand, universes are getting created. With the same little finger, he whirls a curl. He is curling. He spins Jupiter in one finger. With the same finger, he is fashioning his curl. So the divine is manifesting in everything, and seeing that equanimity, that equal state will come, knowing that yes, the divine is all, he is everywhere. The next Sri Aurobindo talks about is surrender, which we keep hearing. The 3 mantras in our sadhana: aspiration, rejection, surrender, give all to the mother, be empty. Savitri, there's a line, I'm not telling the exact line, make yourself blank so that the universal and soul could write on it. Only in the blank and which is not cluttered by anything can the divine hand work out something, make you, transform you. So the complete surrender is the chief mainstay of the sadhana, he pointedly says. And mother says, yeah, we all know in this path there are struggles with our own nature. So there was a sadhak, his name was Arjava. So I think an English person, Sri Aurobindo gave him this name. He was a beautiful poet. So one of his friends from maybe UK or wherever, he comes and visits the ashram and say, okay, you seem to have very simple, straightforward life, routine life in the ashram, and you claim to be doing something big. Everything seems very mundane and usual. And he said, you don't know the battle I am fighting every day with my ego, and the divine is working to eliminate that ego, and that is what everything will from outside look. Yeah, if you all go to Pondicherry, you'll see everybody has like every day same routine, go to dining hall, same breakfast every day. I would think that sometimes, but even in all, why do we see the external, the inside our being, how much the divine is acting in us? So that much load, that I'm fighting and carrying, and I'm fighting with my ego, you would say. So we all go through this journey, and mother says, when you feel frustrated and all that, and you are in ignorance, you are struggling to come out of this ignorance, she says, say this: here I am, take me, lead me along the true path. Here I am, take me, lead me along the true path. This is beautiful. I think it's a real story I heard in some talk. So there used to be this child, and he would go, he has to cross some kind of a forest path to get to his school. And he would tell his mother, that particular patch I always feel a little scared, anything will come, the road is very lonely. And she casually said, call Govinda, he will come. Keep repeating his name, he will come. So many months passed like that, and then mother then reflected, so you were a little scared, how is it now, you're not complaining much. Like, you only said call Govinda, every day this boy walks with me, I go with him every day. He's been literally traveling with Sri Krishna every day to his school. That's a real story. So that's the pure faith and that openness, that surrender attitude that the child had, trusted everything what the mother said, and the divine manifested. Yeah, the next point we are coming to is faith. So Sri Aurobindo says, firm faith in the Shakti that is at work and reliance on the guidance of the master of the yoga, whose wisdom is not in haste and whose steps through all the perplexities of the mind are assured and just and sound, because they are founded on a perfectly comprehending transaction with the necessities of our nature. Reliance on the Shakti, reliance on the mother, even through the perplexities of the mind that it is working, because it has to work through our nature. Wherever, whichever place we are, it has to work through that. In one of the letters Sri Aurobindo writes to Sahana Di, so she tells him, so it's ultimately dealing through life, going through life, calling the divine, making ourselves more conscious. It's all about the right attitude, right? She's asking Sri Aurobindo. As you say, it is the failure of the right attitude that comes in the way of passing through the ordeals to a change of nature. Maintain that right attitude through faith, surrender, equanimity. The pressure is becoming greater now for this change of character, even more than for a decisive experience. For if the experience comes, it fails to be decisive because of the want of the requisite change of nature. The mind, for instance, gets the experience of the one in all, but the vital cannot follow because it is dominated by the ego reaction and ego nature, or the habits of the outer nature keep up a way of thinking, feeling, acting, living, which is quite out of harmony with these experiences. For the psychic and the part of the mind and emotional being feel frequently the closeness of the mother, but the rest of the nature is unoffered and goes its own way, prolonging division from her nearness, creating distance. So he's saying in general, the mind has its own way of thinking, it acts through the ego, but then in all of us there's this psychic part which is the portion of the mother, the psychic in us which is always close to the mother, which is born out of the mother, which is the mother in each of us. So having that right attitude and being with that part which is always the child of the mother. Then mother says, she often describes this like our yoga, our journey, it is an adventure. Should embrace this adventure, The divine is making me play with few people, few materials, few situations. It's fine, it's for my nature to be closer to him, for all my being to be closer to him, so that everything inside me can be carried only by him. And there's a very beautiful line from Synthesis of Yoga. He says, he who chooses the infinite has been chosen by the infinite. He who chooses the infinite has been chosen by the infinite. So this adventure the divine has chose, he has pointed at you, and since he chose you, he will lead you the way. There's this little incident in Ramayana. So Ramayana asked this boatman, can you help me cross this river? And This boatman says, yes, yes, surely, I will help you cross this river, but you help me cross this Bhavasagar, my journey from life to life. That's why I think that transition, like Taraka we say, from you take me, you carry me from this birth to that birth. I will do this easily, make you cross from here to there, but you are the one, no, you are that eternal boatman that we want to be carried by you all the time. So she says about this adventure, it can be called an adventure because it is the first time that a yoga aims at transformation and divinization of physical life instead of escape from it. This is the first time, transformation of physical life instead of escape from it. It's a soul that has been chosen. It has become conscious because its hour has come. Once the hour has come, well, the result will follow more or less quickly. All of us would have come here because of that one glimpse, one little touch of the divine. So something in our soul has awakened to Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So it's like soul has decided this is how it will work, this is how it wants to be their child. It will lead you and they will lead us. The enlightened consciousness knows that miracle is everywhere and constant. It is ignorance, egoism, a lack of faith that prevent us from perceiving the ever-present grace. So this grace is present, this miracle is present, our soul within, the enlightened beings, the parts which are always turned to the light, they know very well it is the grace, but the other things don't know. It's like just playing that hide and seek with each other. God playing hide and seek with himself. Recently I was reading a few lines of Savitri and the same context of how pain came into the world, what is the nature of pain, like how Sri Aurobindo describes, in that can't only it comes. And again it has that hint of adventure. So like our spirit, our soul, we are all like highest beings anyway. But we came in here for the adventure. We came in here to divinize matter. And Mother says in her Wednesday classes, whenever she used to sit with the sadhaks and have the classes, she would say, it's a selection. You all at one point have asked me, will you bring us down in divinizing matter? Will you carry us along with you? And I said yes. That's why all of you are here with me. So it felt the spirit's impermeable bliss. It knew itself. Our spirit, our soul knows itself, deathless, timeless, spaceless one. It saw the eternal, lived in the infinite. Then, curious of a shadow thrown by truth, it strained towards some otherness of self. It was drawn to an unknown face peering through light. The soul in its ultimate purity, in that ultimate bliss, it knows it's immortal, it's deathless, it's timeless, spaceless, it is the one, it is eternal, it's infinite, it knows. But it became curious. There is one shadow of this truth. I want to go and see that shadow. Like how little babies, like whatever you prevent them from doing, they would want and go do that, get themselves into that harm. So it has seen the shadow and said, what is this shadow? Our soul got curious and it came down on earth to play with this shadow. It longed for the adventure of ignorance and the marvel of surprise of the unknown and the endless possibility that lurked in the womb of chaos and in nothing's gulf. It, tired of its unchanging happiness, it turned away from immortality. It was tired of being so happy in that field of happiness and ananda. Like, let's do this adventure. And let's forget that we are immortal. Let's act like mortal beings. So we are all come like that. Sri Aurobindo in his correspondence with the evening talks with Nirodha and few others, he said, you don't know that you are Brahman, but you are acting like Nirodha. You are Brahman, you're acting like Guna. You are Brahman, you're acting like Alekya. We are like that. In essence, we are so divine, so pure, full of that, that deathlessness, timelessness, spacelessness, filled with the eternal. We got curious and we came down to this world, and Mother Sri Aurobindo has made us her warriors or army to bring that little light in our lives, in our parts of nature and everywhere else. So literally like having all life as yoga, all being in their light, and this light helping externally and also inside to transmit that light, like one candle will light many candles. All the dull, weak, stubborn parts in our nature, to wake them up, to come out of that dullness. We'll take a few moments of silence and chant Om 3 times.